I don't want to stab anybody. I'm scared of getting stabbed.
Ooh, that's a really good question.
How controversial can I get?
2022 was a year of new beginnings, new trends, and new experiences. We gathered some local folks to discuss some noteworthy happenings from the past year. We saw a handful of new apartments like Andante, 715, and River Ridge Luxury open their doors for the first time.
New apartments are great. Bringing more people downtown is always a good thing. I do think that some sort of in-service on naming your apartment building might be a good idea. Andante, right, is just asking for every Midwesterner to mispronounce that. Just going straight 715, like, oh man.
Yeah, I mean, what if I actually like the fact that a one-bedroom apartment in a lot of these places costs more than the mortgage that I pay on my house that's only 5 minutes from downtown?
I try to put a positive spin on things. You know, with all these new apartments now, you can enjoy high rents without having to relocate all the way to New York City.
The Valley welcomed new restaurants and food trucks in 2022, some of which also include family-owned C&T's Soul Food, The Good Wives, Smack Daddies, and Ohana Pizza Company. We also saw a few chain restaurants jump in on the action, some nearing completion.
Don't care about any of the chain restaurants.
I am in a pretty serious relationship with Culver's, so I really can't comment.
Well, I don't really think we need any more chain restaurants in town. What I would love to see is a resurgence of Fanny Hill Dinner Theater.
I promise I'm not super negative. It infuriates me to see a line of 15 cars at Panda Express when there are so many wonderful local options.
It's in the middle of the city, right next to other family-owned restaurants just down the street. And people are in line if it like this is the only food available.
Stop going to chains. There's great food here.
What would the Eau Claire Foodies Facebook group say about your take?
I'm terrified of that group, so I stay away. I feel like I should maybe not say too much here. People know where I live, I've got kids, I respect the Eau Claire Foodies. I think they do great work.
That toxic place? I think it's hilarious. It's doing what the internet does best, just people yelling at each other over nothing.
I enjoyed it immensely. I think it's so fun. I think if you keep it as entertainment, then it won't suck the soul out of your butt.
A new Renaissance fair, Newborn Village, made its debut in 2022 after nearly a decade of the Valley lacking anything of the sort.
Big Game of Thrones fan. I've never been to a Renaissance festival. I think I'd like to go. I think everyone can benefit from getting the weird out a little bit.
I had a kind of a rough turkey leg experience in '03, so I have kind of an aversion to Renaissance festivals that I'm looking to overcome.
Do you know if there are any good armorers in town? I can contact them by pigeon if you have their info.
What would your jousting weapon of choice be?
I don't want to stab anybody. I'm scared of getting stabbed. Is it a weapon if I just give them a bag of money and tell them to leave me alone?
When I was in college, Clown College, every day at lunch they did unicycle jousting, and pool noodles were always the weapon of choice. They make this very satisfying thwack when they hit someone.
Describe your Renaissance fair character.
I would probably be a kitchen wench, a bedraggled mother.
I would be the village idiot, and I would drink as much mead as I could possibly drink.
I think I would be a dwarf bard. Well, that's just a D&D character now, because I can't be a dwarf unless I walk around on my knees.
From tiny homes and Airbnbs to Eau Claire's possibly smallest bar opening, tiny things made a huge impact in 2022. One of those tiny things was Jack the Magnificent Mini Horse. If you could spend a day with him, what would you do?
We would joust.
He brings joy wherever he goes, so where can we bring joy? Who needs joy the most? Maybe the mall? Those people are sad. I used to work there.
I think I would just stare like this. I mean, what else is there to do, right? I don't feel like I deserve to touch him.
But imagine like an elephant the size of a baseball. Just like a little leather buddy. You could have like a little area on your desk and he could just do little elephant things.
If you could open the Valley's smallest business, what would it be?
I think it should be a shop, and it only sells warm cookies and cold milk, and with each order you get a compliment, like, oh, I bet you make a really good friend.
It would be a bar inside of a phone booth. Like the corner of Barstow and Birch, there used to be a phone booth there. I will put it there, stand in a phone booth, drink your beer, and just stare at everybody. It's creepy, it's weird, and a lot of fun.
The Valley saw its fair share of buzzworthy happenings over the last year. A standout was the car driving on the Phoenix Park footbridge. Obviously, we don't condone this, But in what circumstances could you see yourself driving on the footbridge?
I think it's acceptable to drive on the footbridge if it's hilarious and fun.
I would drive on the bridge at the drop of a hat if I could. Like that donut truck is always over at RCU. Maybe like they're almost out of Fruity Pebble donuts that I desperately need that morning.
I could see myself driving on the footbridge on a miniature horse while jousting.
And we can't forget the great Quick Trip coffee cup heist of 2022.
This is a really important topic to me. When Quick Trip gets stolen from, it's like a part of my heart being ripped from my body.
I think that CEO Don Zietlow, who's retiring at the end of the year, I think he was hoarding them. He's gonna autograph them and then like sell them on eBay.
I think it was just marketing. Similar to 7-Eleven, they do slushies and it's like set refill price, whether you bring a 5-gallon bucket or just a regular cup. Now I'm advertising 7-Eleven. I'm sorry, we don't have one in the town.
Some of the biggest stories of 2022 were the renovation and reopenings of familiar places, from the Ellie Phillips Memorial Public Library expanding and Micon Cinema moving into the Oakwood Mall Theater, to the groundbreaking of the Menominee Market Food Co-op and the near completion of the new Children's Museum of Eau Claire. What's something you wouldn't be surprised to see in the Children's Museum in 50 years?
Isn't it obvious where they're going with it? I mean, the fact that it's so tree-like now, obviously it will just be living trees. It'll basically be a small forest in the middle of Eau Claire because that's the only place that children in 50 years will be able to actually see real living trees.
Kids are getting smarter and they'll probably be welding. They'll probably be doing TIG welding right there. Like, hey, build a spaceship, let's go. They'll have a launch pad on top of the thing.
Any final thoughts?
Eau Claire of 10 years ago would be really jealous, right? If only at the idea of a Chick-fil-A, right? That's been a decade at least.
In 30 years, this town is probably going to be double the size it is, and it's going to be 10 times as cool. I really do love it here. Even though I'm talking jokes and being all silly, this is the greatest place in the world.